Shabbat shalom, everyone. Sorry. We're getting ready. We're coming up on the Shabbat. So, shalom, everybody. And I want to greet each and every one of you once again to the destruction of the black man. This is episode 5 of this series. I am grateful for everyone who has come in, who has taken part. Um, Once again, if you're in the chat, please feel free to leave your questions. We're going to try to answer questions as much as we can. Once again, I am very grateful. I'm thankful for the Most High, Yah, and we give our praise to Him. And I'm thankful for all those who have come, who have shown interest in this series, um, who have taken time out of your schedule in the middle part of the day to come and hang out with me as we discuss not only our systematic oppression, but the ways in which our oppressor has used scripture has used scripture to oppress the people of the Most High Yah. I'm not ashamed of it, and you may not agree with me. And I know that there has been a whole lot of programming that has gone on in our families. Hold on, I gotta shut this off. Hold on, y'all. I gotta cut this down, and I can't see. Okay, you know, I've noticed that there has been a lot of oppression in the black family and what we call the so-called black family unit. And so it was my charge, um, and I believe while I've had this time off wrestling with COVID, to actually come before you and to share scripture and not just doctrine from our oppressor, but actual scripture, and really touch a subject that is near and dear to me. Because look, I have black sons, I have black daughters, and we are battling a system that is utterly wicked, y'all. It is utterly wicked, and I'm just reminded of the stories in Daniel when Daniel explains his dream about the giant. I mean about the statue. And right now we're at the foot part of the statue, and I'm just really, really, really. I don't even know how to say this. I'm just really saddened by the situation that our people are in. We are an oppressed nation, and I can't blame the oppressor. Like I told y'all before, it's kind of like going to jail and being mad at the CO because you in jail, you know. But in like turn, the CO has gone way beyond his call of duty and has stepped way out of his bounds and has completely and totally taken advantage of the people, utter advantage of the people. And we go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, and we see the signs of those people that will be oppressed, and the signs of the true Hebrew Israelites that will be oppressed. And we all know that the so-called Ashkenazim or the Ashkenazi Jew, whatever you want to call them, do not share any of the characteristics of those people that were discussed in that chapter of the Bible. All of that leads back to the so-called black man, the so-called Negro, the so-called nigger, the so-called all these things. It goes back to us. I want to thank all 4 channels that are in the chat. I appreciate you being here, spending time with us. So, as I wait for Brother Malak and Brother Yosef to come on, I've also invited a special guest. She is one of the women that I am very close to in this Hebrew walk. Actually, she is under my covering, and that's another lesson to be taught, that you can actually cover someone and don't have sex with them, because these brothers around here are just wicked as hell at times. She's a very dear friend. She's someone that I spend a lot of time going over scripture with, um, and really helping her out as far as questions. Her name is Zakaria. Or Zakaria, and she's a great friend. And it's not okay. So I know two Zakarias. This is a different Zakaria. This is not who I call Z or my daughter. This is a friend. So, hey, Chit Chat, I am so glad to see that you are okay. I have actually been worried sick about you and your family, knowing how y'all are close to, you're really close to, that you're really close to where the hurricane hit. Hope y'all have your lights. I hope y'all are okay now. But as we look at the Black Family Unit, and we see what basically has taken place over our 400 years of captivity here in this land. Last year, August the 19th, um, marked our 20. Ooh, that joke right there. Has actually marked our 400th year in captivity, which coincides with the prophecy that was given to Abram in, or Abraham, that was given to Abraham in, hey, what's going on, Tracy? That was given to Abraham in, when he made his vow with the Most High. So I am so grateful for everyone who has come through, who has stopped by, who has fallen out the bushes, who has spoken in this chat. Role reversals. Let's go on the role reversals. And as I wait on Malak and Brother Yosef to come up, I think this may be a good time for me to introduce you to I, my friend, my sister in this walk, my Koti in this walk. Her name is Zakaria, or Zakaria. I'm gonna have her tell you a few things about herself, because I know y'all are sick and tired of seeing men always up here on this chat. I'm gonna let her speak for a little bit, introduce herself, tell you about her walk in the truth, and what she's gone through as a Hebrew woman in the truth. Because there are people that are still in this walk that are utterly wicked, and pray on our sisters who are, what's going on, Stefan? Shalom, shalom, Maki. Um, Utterly prey on our sisters who are trying their dangest to get back into relationship with the Most High. And when I'm talking about role reversals, I'm not just talking about the man taking a more feminine role in the house, or the woman taking a more masculine role in the house. I'm actually talking about us taking the role of our oppressors on our own people. Um, this the snitch game, or what we call dry snitching. The snitch game is real, folks. We got folks out here that be showing out like all the time. So as I bring her up, I'm gonna give her a few minutes to tell you about herself. Um, she is a wonderful sister, a very knowledgeable sister, and she's still growing. She's and as a teacher and a friend, you love to see when you pour into somebody and you see the fruits of what you've done. I've always talked about soil, and how the Hebrew man, is supposed to be a husbandman. And this does not mean that every woman, brothers, that you come in contact with, that when you pour into them, that you expect to receive sex. This is not. I want to be able to pour into the minds of our sisters and to be able to plant seeds of knowledge into the minds of our sisters. Because when a sister learns about herself, especially in the situations that we're in right now, that I'm sitting up here thinking because I'm old as hell, y'all. As we pour into one another, we the utter changes of how the development and the growth and the respect, because there should be a mutual respect between those lines between brother and sister, sister and brother. And it don't always mean that you got to try to tap them, you got to smash. And brothers, we got to get off of that, because every flower ain't for you to smell. every 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 fruit on the tree ain't for you to bite. And we got it bad, man. If a flower comes your way, you always want to pick it and sniff on it. It ain't for you. Sometimes you got to water that flower, even though it ain't yours. That way, when she finds her king, or when her king finds her, let me rephrase that. When her king finds her, or when she is matched up with her proper rib, then she can be that fruit that he desires, that is fashioned for him, that was made just for him. I could go on all day about that, but I'm going to let Brother Joseph up first to say hello. Then the next person you'll talk to after Joseph will be Sister Zakaria, and we're going to just give her a few minutes, and then we're going to go back into the lesson. Aki,
Shalom, family.
what's going on, Ak?
Hey, man, it's the weekend.
Hey, you know what? I wanted to tell you this, Joseph. The response from these lessons have been so, it's just been enormous, bro. I'm getting people that are hitting me up out of the blue and just telling me how they've been edified. And I give all praise to the Most High Yah. It ain't us. It I give praise because of our obedience. Because I look at Yosef. Yosef's tired, y'all. Yosef be working. Yosef be trying to put in this work, and he still finds time in the middle of his day when he should be asleep to actually, spend time with us. So, Brother Yosef, go ahead and greet the people before we bring up Sister Zakaria and have her speak.
Shalom, family. All praises to the Most High, to His Son, Yeshua Hamashiach, to the Ruach HaKodesh. It's good to be here. It's great to be here with you again today. We make time for the things that are important to us. Hallelujah. And nothing's more important than being available to share the word and fellowship in the word, and to be able to uh, communicate and dialogue together, to be able to teach and learn from one another. And so we're glad to be here again with you today.
All right. So I'm going to once again, I've already introduced the sister. I'm going to bring her up and just let her give us some views. And she really, we talked about a few things that was discussed this week in the chat or in our classes or in these lessons. And the sister has some insight, bro. And so I want to give her a chance to speak from a sisterly point of view, because we need to hear both sides of the story. Okay, so I'm going to bring her up right now.
Shalom, family. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, shalom.
What's going on,
Okay. Nothing much. I got kind of excited and honored that you actually wanted me to join to be able to be there for my sisters and my brothers or sisters and the Kings, to be able to help with any type of better understanding as far as with the woman role, as far as with the things that I've been through. But first, I want to give honor to my father, who's first in my life, his son Yehoshua and the Ruach Hakodesh. I want to give honor to you, uh, Elder Yemi, for allowing me to be a part of it. Also, give honor to my courtier, Zedek, for being in my life as well. Y'all are truly beautiful men to me. But did you want me to go ahead and go into a little bit of insight of my walk so far? You want me to do that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give
So
you the screen though, so everybody can see you. Hey, you ain't ashy.
you should have saw me about 5 minutes ago. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, hey, Joseph. I called her and I said, "Hey, I need you to come up on the panel." And she
Uh-huh.
said, I can't." I said, "Why not?" She said, "I'm ashy." I said, "You got about 15 minutes. You better make this work." She said, "My hair is plaited." I said, "You better go and get you something to cover your head with then." I'm sorry I had to put her out there like that. Hold on, here you go.
But yeah, but that's the truth. He called, and I think it wasn't even 10 minutes ago. But it goes to show that the way we are to be as followers of the Messiah, and also as children to the Most High. You know, when He calls, you're supposed to come running. You know, we have a service to each other as brother and sister. But to give you a little insight about myself, I've been in this walk for like 4 years. I have two children. When I first came into this walk, I had no clue about anything, and so I was trying to search for information, trying to search for people to be able to find out which way I'm supposed to go. And so I pretty much learned a lot of my stuff on, I've always been in church, but I've learned as far as with this walk through YouTube, of course, and through IUIC is where I first began. And then I came across a brother who was supposed to have been in this walk for 14 years. And he did a lot of, I know now a lot of the things he did was manipulation. And as sisters, we have to understand that there's a lot of, even though a person may have the name Israel behind their name, does not mean that they're a part of Israel. Everyone that is of Israel, well, everyone, I don't know the scripture, but you understand what I'm saying, is not of Israel. And he was one of those, the ones that want you to call him master, that the woman's supposed to be the slave. He even truly, he believed that his wives were supposed to be intimate with each other, that the husband's supposed to take everything from the woman. He even switched a lot of different scriptures around. He was like, there's no reason for a woman to be in any other scriptures in the Bible except for the scriptures about being a slave and about submission. He was a part of the polygyny. He had many wives, and he also believed in spousal discipline, so he would whoop his wives as well. I'm thankful that the Father allowed me to he kept his hand on me in the midst of all of that. But in the midst of all that, we also have to understand with scars come understanding. And because of that, I now can speak from a place of experience because I knew the ugly part, so then I can appreciate the good part. Let me say it like that. And so when Yemi came across me, and actually Yemi came into acquaintance on one of my live videos, the father, and it's just so happened I've been wanting to do one, but I just didn't know on what. And this one morning I woke up and I heard the Ruach speak, and he told me that it was time for me to do a video. And because of that, and I first thing I did was I went to the track and I walked and I talked to get a better understanding of what was needed of me. And then when I came back, I took my bath, got on ashy, and I got on my live. And when that happened, and Yemi actually, I think someone told him about it. He got on it, and that's when me and him first made our acquaintance. And he told me about the woman being the ground, and that was profound to me. Um, and he wasn't one of those ones that was looking. I'm thankful that the Father allowed him to have a spirit of servitude because he not only took me under his wing, but he didn't do it. Most men feel like they can't cover a woman unless they're being intimate, unless they're getting something out of it, not realizing when the Father blesses, it's so much more than what man can do. And so if a lot of brothers chose to do those type of things, chose to be there for their sisters in it, not realizing that we are his daughters, how would you want your daughter treated? So then you have to understand how the father wants his daughter treated. A lot of people don't understand it. And not only that, but wisdom was given the attributes of a woman. I'm just saying. So people have to understand that we have knowledge too in different things. You may come on one end of it, but I come on the other. And I have to also understand that true enough, you do have the final say so. But in turn, if you choose not to give any type of ear to who you chose to be in your life as your rib, then it goes to show what you think about your own choices.
Mhm.
Even in Proverbs 31, it speaks about him trusting in his wife. And so that's just a little bit of insight on, the things that I've come across in this walk. Whenever it came time, whenever a king did approach me and I didn't push him away because of my triggers and because of my scars of the things that I've been through in this walk and outside, I brought him to Yemi, and Yemi proved him for me. And we've been going strong ever since, and we're coming up on a year, beginning of next year. So, hallelujah for that. So that's my little interlude to me.
Oh, that was a fight all in itself. Woo, girl. Let me tell you.
Oh.
Hold on. Let me put everybody back in. Okay. So I want to go back to Deuteronomy 28. And there was something that Brother Yosef had read and touched base on yesterday. And I think it was around the verses around verse 54, where it starts to talk about um, us devouring one another, or us devouring our kids, and us finding disdain from one another. Um, because in role reversal, like I told you, men can take on the role of the wife, women try to take on the role of the husband. But then another thing is that we tend to take on the role of our oppressors, and
Mhm.
we bring that into our homes.
Mhm.
And not only is it toxic, but it brings forth devastation to the black unit. Zakaria told me something one day, and she acts like I don't be listening to her sometimes. But she told me something that really touched me. And she told me, she said, when I'm married, when my co-tier becomes my husband, that I want to prepare a safe place for him, because and I'm paraphrasing, because she told me she wanted to prepare a safe place for him, a place so when he left outside of the world, when he came home, he could feel safe.
Mhm.
And that touched me, because this woman has a son that's a teenager, a daughter who is grown, and but she would put aside everything else. And
Mhm.
she's a working woman, a hard working woman, a professional woman. She's one of them sisters that can honestly say, she's one of them sisters that if you found her and she was in the world, I don't need no man. I
Mhm.
got all this on my own. And the
Mhm.
sister does. I mean, I'm not putting out her financial, but she ain't broke. And she got this stuff by hard work, trial and error, trusting Yah. And all she's waiting for right now is somebody to come in and to share. She already got her dowry. This is what tickles me. She already has her dowry. And all she's got to do is find the right man to manage the dowry
Mhm.
and to bring in his bride price. And it's beautiful to me, because she's still fertile soil. She's still willing to be taught. She doesn't look past, you know, all this other stuff that she has, and judge a man if he's willing to bring in or what he can bring in. She just wants a man that loves Yah and follows Yah, and and that's amazing, because what we run into is the battle in the Willie Lynch letters. The Willie Lynch letters make it very clear. If you haven't read them, you need to look into it. The Willie Lynch letters basically is a systematic destruction of the black household, and how to destroy the black man and black woman, and to have them fighting against each other. Um, and it's crazy, because I've honestly heard sisters say that they don't want no man over them, and I'm like, To be a husband doesn't mean to dominate the soil. The man doesn't listen. The man doesn't dominate the soil. The man. Okay, so I always let me put this out here. When I compare men and women, I compare them to a gardener or a farmer and the land that he lives on. The land provides for him. The land protects him. Honestly, the land provides him nourishment. The and how he treats the land, man, this is about to shout. How he treats the land helps him in his survival because the land can kick back and not yield or not. If you mistreat the land and you don't take care of the land, your
Mhm.
seed won't produce. And sometimes it takes time as a husbandman to go onto the soil and to pull out those stones in the ground and those rocks in the ground. But that comes with washing of the word. That comes from being open and receptive into your wife. That comes from being like in Peter, where it says that you treat the woman as if she was the weaker vessel. Or you treat her like you would treat your testicles. You treat her a shot.
Mhm.
You treat her with this love and this kindness because you're supposed to respect her too. Because if you don't respect the land, how do you expect to receive a good harvest? This is another reason why we got these women out here that are hurt and they carry baggage with them. And that's what the system wanted us to do, was to divide the black family unit, to have these sisters hurt and beat up and to actually depend on her oppressor for her survival. And
Mhm.
by doing that, she looks down upon the black man. So did you find it, Aki?
Yeah, I did. Um, 54,
Mm-hmm.
beginning at well, back up to 53.
Okay.
Says, "You shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and daughters, whom Yah your Elohim, Yahuwah your Elohim has given you in the siege and desperate straits in which your enemy shall distress you." I'm reading from New King James Version. "The sensitive and very refined man among you will be hostile toward his brother, toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the rest of his children whom he leaves behind, so that he would not give any of them he would not give any of them the flesh of his children whom he will eat, because he has nothing left. In the siege and desperate straits in which your enemy shall distress you at all your gates, the tender and delicate woman among you who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground because of her delicateness and sensitivity will refuse to the husband of her bosom and to her son and her daughter. Her her placenta which comes out from between her feet and her children whom she bears, for she will eat them secretly for lack of everything in the siege and desperate straits in which your enemy shall distress you at your gates, if you do not carefully observe all the words of this law which are written in this book, that you may fear the glorious and awesome name of Yahuwah your Elohim."
Okay, that'll work. Now I want y'all to understand something when reading the scripture, and I'm gonna ask the Karia to touch base on it too. Um, let's not look at this in a literal sense as far as eating of your children. I want you to realize that a lot of times this means draining your children. Can mean draining and taking away from your children.
Mhm.
Remember back in the day, and I know y'all are going to laugh when I say this, and I'm not trying to be funny. You remember back in the day when they used to say black kids had credit before they graduated?
Mhm.
I'm saying, you remember when they, black kids had credit before they graduated because the family would put stuff in the child's name, get credit on the child,
Yeah.
and wouldn't pay bills. This is valuing your children. I remember when I bought my first home. Um, I think it was 2000. First time I bought a home, and I was with my ex-wife at that time, and got to going through the bank loan process, and they were like, "Mr. Grant, you had this credit card at Dillard's for a mighty long time," and I'm like, "What? I don't have a Dillard's credit card." And they were like, "Yes, yes, you do." And then they showed me on the thing, and so me being messy, because I already know who did it. But I already knew who did it, and
Uh-huh.
thank y'all that they didn't. It was still in good standing. It was still active, but I'd already known who did it. So instead of going to that person, I went to my dad and I said, "Hey, pops, I got credit at Dillard's." And he said, "Well, congratulations." I said, "Yes, since 1979." And he got hot. He was like, "Son, are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, I was trying to buy the house, and it's hold up for a minute because they got to go through this. But yeah, I've had credit at Dillon since 1979. Boy, that joker couldn't leave work fast enough to get home to go off on my mom. But that's devouring your young.
Mm-hmm.
That's devouring your kids. Because what if she got that credit and she didn't do good with it? Then I would have to go through the whole process of trying to get that mess cleared off my name.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am 9 years old, and then here I am 9 years old, and some 21 years later, I'm finding out that I done had credit at Dillard since I was 9 years old. That's crazy, and it's toxic. But that is stuff that our oppressors do. That's not what we
Mm-hmm.
do as Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when so how do I want to go with this? You got anything you want to add, Zakaria? Go ahead.
Okay. First I want to give my sisters an interlude. This is not bashing women at all. And I don't want y'all to think that we are, or we're trying to make it seem as though um, your pains and your struggles are going unrecognized, because that's not what that is. This is to bring clarity to a situation for us to understand that sometimes we have a tendency of being toxic. Like for instance, even when it comes to our husbands, our heads, we look at Jezebel, and we have so many people speak about Jezebel, but people fail to realize a lot of times the traits that she has is what we have, but she wasn't a good woman at all. Let me put it out there. But what I'm trying to say is that she was all trying to make her husband's job easier,
Mm-hmm.
but instead she hindered him,
Mm-hmm.
and she moved in an unrighteous way. But if you sit back and think about it, he tried to get the field. He came home and cried. She was like, "Don't worry about it. Go get something to eat. I'll do it for you." And she did it for him. So, but the way she went about doing it, she did it through lies and deceit, and she took a man's life. So the thing is that we look at something, we think, okay, well, and it ain't only us, because a lot of times, and I'm gonna be honest, the men, y'all allow us to do it. Ahab allowed us to do it, allowed her to do it. So in turn, but see, the thing is that
Mm-hmm.
when the father looks down, he sees one. And so that's why Ahab was accounted, that her unrighteousness was also accounted to Ahab because of that, and because he chose not to be a head of his household. But as far as what Elder Yemi is speaking about, which is true, sometimes we have a tendency in not only the ways of messing up credit, and I'm also at work too, so that's why you see me like this. But and that's why I was ashy, because I work from home. But we have a tendency with our children of also
I
making
was
our sons our husbands,
I
our
was gonna
children
say that.
but also having our children be our counselors as well. And the thing is, I'm guilty of it. I'm gonna tell you, because my first husband was something else. I'm trying to tell you, whew, most high. But And the thing is that the pain and the heartache and the stress that he placed upon me was, and you would think that a person who once said they love you, it's kind of hard to believe that the same words, the same lips that said I love you can turn around and call you out your name, can turn around and call you ugly and say no man would ever want to be with you. But I had to live that. And my children had to see that. But see, the thing is that he also played mind games with my children, trying to play favorites. And because of that, then I didn't have to, but what I did was I opened up to allow them to see this is what I'm going through though. You see this, but you don't see that part. But see, the thing is that that also hurts them and it stunts their growth. As a child, they have to learn how to be a child and enjoy it. And the thing is that as mothers, the problem is that I can't be a man for nothing. And when I try to conduct myself as a father figure in my children's lives, then they're seeing a woman conduct themselves out of the role that she's supposed to be in. So then my son will go and try to find a woman that's harsh, not harsh because I'm not harsh, but someone that's acting themselves according into leading everything and doing everything. And so he doesn't. And so that stunts him. So it's kind of like the generational curse continue to perpetuate itself within us. So the thing is that do not ever feel like, trust me, because when I first started listening to IUIC and the way they was talking about women, I went to work crying when they was talking about how mothers ruin their children. I'm thinking I had no other choice but to raise my child, because if I didn't raise my children, what was going to happen? Their father wasn't there. Mommy don't get the chance to say, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to do. And not only that, but sometimes there's a lot of men out there that know that the woman's going to do it, and so they don't. And I tell so many men whenever they sit back and say, oh, you Jezebel. Well, I can't be Jezebel if you ain't Ahab first. Think about that. So it all goes hand in hand. Jezebel couldn't have been Jezebel if she was married to King David. I'm just saying, because he wouldn't allowed it. So we have to think, but just also just understand that a lot of times when we're trying to help, sometimes it's a hindrance, and it's not coming from a wicked and evil place. If you sit back and think about it, the Most High judges the heart. You know, there's things that King David did that other people did that got killed for. But the Father understands the heart and also the repentant heart. So people have to understand that too. So I just wanted to add that.
Hallelujah. You got anything, brother, yourself?
Yeah. The breakdown, what we're seeing because of the disobedience and disregard for the fathers for the covenant, it caused a domino effect within the family. The breakdown of the family causes the children to consume the children in another sense. What it does, and this is from personal experience as a child, once the mother and the father divorce or separate or what have you, the child has to grow up faster than they should. They can't be children anymore. Let me give you an example. When my mother and my father divorced, I was around 9 or 10, but they had been separated on and off for a couple of years before that. And so as a result, Mom had to go to work early in the morning, and I was given the responsibility of taking care of my brother in the morning. And then this may sound kind of simplistic or non-consequential, but what happened was that my mom had to leave the home, right? She's the what? The glue that holds everything together. So father's gone. Mother has to go to work. Dark 30. The son, 8, 9, 10-year-old son, has to make sure that his younger brother gets up, clothing, fixing breakfast, make sure he gets to school on time, blah, 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 blah. But to make a long story short, the children have to grow up. They're not allowed to enjoy the childhood. You consume the flesh or you consume the youth of the child. And so as a result, what happened to me on the positive side, Most High gets the glory out of that. What happened on the positive side is that when my wife and I got married and the children came along, I was adamant about two things. My sons were going to be with their dad, and that their dad was going to be an everyday part of her life. And number two is that they were going to be able to be children. I wanted them to enjoy the childhood. I wanted them to be able to be an 8-year-old, be an 8-year-old, not try to be a 12 or 13-year-old or so happy. So they will be able to enjoy every stage of their lives, every stage of their childhood through the teenage stages. And so I give all praise to the Most High for that. But we have to understand when as we're in our captivity, and we see the breakdown of the man, the breakdown of the woman, the breakdown of the family. This has a ripple effect on throughout the children, and it causes an enmity within the family. Because once a man turns against the woman that bore him children, that there's an animosity there.
Mm.
Even if he is a good father, because you love the children, but you rejected me. Help me out, sister. Help me out. Maybe I'm missing something, or maybe I'm overstating. But that animosity, because you're in their lives, you're paying child support, you're a good father. Even in that case, you take care of them, but you turned against me. And that's the nature of the conflict that's going on even to this present day, where you see these issues with what they call baby mama drama or baby daddy drama, whatever you want to call it. That friction, those issues, that friction, and that conflict and that discord is always going to be there, and it's devastating. It's been devastating to us and to our family unit. The functionality of the family unit. We're no longer functional as a family unit. We're no longer functional as a people. When we look at ourselves as a nation in our captivity, we are not functional because again we've disregarded the Father's commands, law, statutes, commandments, and that's why we have to be so adamant and so diligent about helping our sleep or lost brothers and sisters come back to the truth. That's the only answer. That's the only remedy for us on this earth outside of Yahshua coming back, his return. We've got to turn back to the truth and regain functionality within Israel.
I'm glad you said that too, because I think a lot of times we look at things in the home as I'm running across this while teaching this lesson, that people don't understand there's a difference between abstract and concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Abstract can be whatever you want it to be when you want it to be. Mm-hmm. But when something's concrete, it's concrete. It is what it is. And if we moved into concrete, if we moved according to our culture, we moved into concrete. This is why in scripture, when he said, let your yeses be your yeses and your no's be your no's.
Yeah.
And this when he said, I would rather you be hot or cold than lukewarm. He was saying, look, I'd rather you be concrete than abstract, because I know how to deal with you. I want you, if you say no, it needs to mean no. Mm-hmm. I don't need you to say no, but you mean it yes. You know, I used to have this argument with my wife all the time, and I'm grateful to Yah that he showed her I can't think for you, and you can't think for me. Mm-hmm. So tell me what you want me to do. Like Tevin Campbell, tell me what you want me to do, man.
You ain't gonna sing a soprano though.
No. You know, tell me what you want, because I can then deal with the situation. You know, I can't go off of whatever you want to do, because if I do it however I want to do it, I might not do it that good enough to please you. And now both of us are mad, because if I do it the way I want to and then you don't like it, you better not ever tell me. especially after I gave you a chance to do so, to have me do it the way you wanted me to do.
Well, a lot of that, Brother Malak taught us years ago. One of the first lessons he taught us, a lot of it has to do with the language and the culture that we're part of. Most of it has to do with the language and the culture that we're part of, because we've got to understand, and we must understand, that English is an equivocal language. It's an abstract language, and so that lends itself to miscommunication. You know, of course, the temperamental and the differences between the male and the female species. Then you throw the language in there, and it just makes it difficult. And that's why it's so important. Again, it's so important for us, along with the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, to regain our culture. The culture. Even if we get the roles right in our captivity, when we get the roles back the way they're supposed to be, because of a cultural conditioning, and the loss of our culture, the loss of our heritage, the loss of our language, the loss of our understanding of who we are. It causes us to consume one another and have that discord in the family.
I honor Go ahead, Zakaria.
I do want to actually add some stuff into it though, because I want us to also look at both sides of the
Okay.
coin. Because in turn, the woman can be detrimental to the family, but it always, I mean, and when the Most High came back, he called on Adam first
Mm-hmm.
and asked him where he was. So it's like the thing is that yes, we do suffer from the curses, and the women do. We, I think the thing that kind of gets skipped over, because it, to me, and it's a lot of people that I deal with, well, not deal with, what I see on my Facebook timeline, there's a lot of pressure on the women to get into position, but the scripture says the bit in the mouth controls the whole body
Mm-hmm.
of the horse. So what does it begin? It begins with the head. So it's like, get in position, we'll follow. So there's a lot of things. There's a perpetuating thing also when it comes to our kings and the position that they play. It's like this: you have a lot of women that have children by different men. I'm thankful to say I'm not one of them, but we have that where you've dropped your seed and you've left. Yeah, there are some women that's detrimental to the children because they're making it hard on that man. But the thing is that my mother wasn't the easiest person to get along with. She was beautiful, but she wasn't easy to get along with. But my father was determined to be in his children's lives. And
Mm-hmm.
see, the thing is that a lot of times we too busy trying to figure out what makes me feel good. Where I suffered as a child was that my parents didn't understand I went through their divorce with them. I
Mm-hmm.
cried myself to sleep
Yeah.
at night, wanting them
Yeah.
to get back together. But my father and my mother was too busy trying to lick their own wounds by trying to find someone to be able to, I don't want to say lay with, but someone to spend their time with. And they didn't
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
understand that. So I made sure when it came to my children, when me and my husband decided to split and go our separate ways, that they didn't have to lose both of us. So that did make me have to be more present. And that means that my social life, I've been single for going on 8 years until I met my king. And so, but that's the penalty I paid for choosing to lay down to have children. So the thing is that our kings have to understand their penalties that come along with you choosing to lay with the woman you chose to lay with.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
chose to do that. So then you throw your hands up and allow that child to be led down the wrong way. That's the penalty of what it's kind of like a person who goes out and hammers a lot of nails in a fence. And then they have to go and remove all of those nails expecting that fence to be in the same shape it was whenever you first began.
Right.
No, because you chose that woman, because you chose to be in that situation, now your seed has to go through that. And the thing is that it's imperative that both parents are present in that child's life. So if you could get along to lay down and have that baby, then you have to find something about her or some way to deal with her in whatever way you need to. Well, and
Mm-hmm.
if not, then you should have figured out who she was before you laid with him, and it's vice versa. I have to go through a lot because of who I chose to be with and who I chose to marry. And I still have to suffer that to this day. But it's what I
Mm-hmm.
chose, is what I did, and it's not going to conquer me, because that's when I have to get on my knees and I have to pray. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is that it seems like to me that there's a lot of burden placed upon the woman for her to get in position, for her to do. But while you're pointing at me while you're sitting down on the chair, that makes no sense to me. It
Right.
has to be an active work. It's like this. The Messiah said, pick up your cross and follow me. He was doing something. A lot of people want to tell someone about the scripture, but nobody is walking and living it out, and that's where the problem comes in at. And it's like like with Yemi, the video he did yesterday, well, the video both of y'all did yesterday. Then when he was talking about how a mother doesn't want to leave the child with the husband, with the father of the child, because the father of the child is not going to take up time with that child the way the mother. It's total different. What I get from my father is totally different from what I get from my mother. Both of them
Absolutely.
is vital for me to be able to. I mean, the sun is in the rain is good for the flower to grow. So both of them is vital. And when one of them is choked out, either you're gonna drown the flower or you're gonna burn the flower when you have too much of the other. So you have to, a fair balance is always needed in
Balance.
everything. So you have to also rectify the situations with the women as well as the situations with the man. Nothing can go neglected because the weakest link, it breaks the chain. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
I'm glad you did because I want to go back to what y'all were saying about planting seed and leaving seed behind. It's very important, and I'm going to give you an illustration. Um, what's our views on? I'll get into that real quick. I'm gonna get into that real quick, Stefan, so you can get an understanding of that too. Okay, so when I first married my when I first started my garden, I picked out a plot of land or an area of my land that I was going to use for a garden. My wife's uncle had a tiller, and so he came over to the house and we tilled up the soil, pulled all the rocks that we could get out of the soil. And then we laid out how I was going to plant my garden. He was like, listen, how do you want to plant your garden? I told him. And so he was like, okay, that sounds good. But, and so when he left, I decided during that time, man, I want some cantaloupes. I want some watermelon. So I I bought all the plants. My first row was tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
and I had bought 16 tomato plants. Worst mistake I ever made in life. Bought 16 tomato plants. You can't eat that many tomatoes, boy, 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 boy. The second two rows were okra. The next mistake that I made was okra. I had got me two rows of okra. You can't eat that much okra,
Mm-mm.
fam. You can't eat that much okra, and okra will fool you. Okra is one of the rare plants that grow in the fall, in the summer, the spring, and the fall. And if you ain't careful, if you're in the right climate, it'll grow during the winter. Then I bought bell peppers, and I had not bell peppers. I had cucumbers and squash. Then my pepper trees, and then further back, I said, "Well, shoot, I'll put these watermelons down in this spot where I planned on putting my compost and my compost pile, and I'll just move the compost pile to the side."
Mm-hmm.
So I went ahead and planted all my stuff. Everything was growing good. Now, what you don't know about watermelon plants is that when they come up, they blossom, and after the blossoms, they run. So I got these beautiful peppers. They coming in. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get me some. I got me some hot peppers. I got me some sweet peppers. It's gonna be great. Peppers growing beautifully. One day I come home from work and I'm watering the plants, and I look back at my pepper plants, and it don't seem like they growing no more.
Mm-hmm.
They producing fruit, but they weren't like the fruit that I got off them at first.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't pay no attention. And then I see, I'm like, okay. And I know it's going to take a while for the watermelon to produce because the watermelon doesn't produce as fast as all the other stuff. So, you know, I'm picking okra every day. I'm picking tomatoes every day, and you know, picking cucumbers. But man, one day I come home from work and all my pepper plants are brown. In an 8 hour period, all my pepper plants are brown.
Mm-hmm.
I go into panic mode and I go to try to save my peppers, and I realize I've weeded around them, but then I realize the vines from the watermelon have
Mm-hmm.
wrapped around the roots of my pepper plants, around the base of my pepper plants, and have choked them out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna go into raising stepkids because fathers, when they're already established and you come in, you have to stay in your lane and learn the nature of what you have. You want to communicate with the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that the kids are under your roof, but you want to have this line of communication long before you ever enter into relationship with a woman who has children,
Mm-hmm.
because your way of raising them may not be the way you may be more hands-on. And nowadays women don't want you whooping their kids, especially if it ain't in a place out of a place of love. So sometimes you need to step back, and you may need to complain about how the tree is growing, but it ain't your job to prune. Okay, it's dead quiet. You go ahead.
I didn't know if you wanted me to say anything. I agree with that. Whenever my courtier came down, we actually had a conversation with it was well, I have one child that's out of the house and one child that's in the house, and like I explained to my courtier when we was on the phone, I want a man for for my son. I want a husband for my son, which is I don't want him to be his father, but I want him to be in his life in a sense of caring for him as if he was his father. Because I have to respect the perfect order of the father, which is my husband, which is him, his son, then my husband, then my children. The only way I could be able to do that is if he's acting in a position of being loving him as a father or a parent would. So then I can put him in that proper order, knowing that my child is not going to be neglected. So I say, but the thing is that there is if we have a certain type of routine that we have, if he comes in and disrupt that entire thing, that child is going to then have resentment against him. It's all about how you choose to want to snatch off the band-aid. It's like, here it is, this is a man that's in my house. That because of children, if the way the child may feel if the man is moving into the home is, you're moving into my house, is what they may feel, not understanding his authority. And he also, so if you come in and you disrupt everything, then you're going to have issues and you're going to have problems. And if that child's father is in his life to a certain degree, and that child's father is vindictive, then that child's going to use that father to be able to have more pull in that household, and that's going to cause conflict between you now and your mate. So it's very important that you truly be spirit led when you choose to go into a household with a child that's already there that is not yours. So I definitely agree with you there.
What you got on?
From a as Brother Stephon asked that question. Uh, from the standpoint of a man, from the father, or we'll say stepfather, uh, those discussions should be made well before the man and the woman comes together. about the role of discipline. Um, from a man's standpoint, uh, the head of the home, or the strong provider, the chief disciplinarian. Um, the man also is told to not only dwell with his wife with knowledge, as Peter says, but also speaking in terms of a parent-child or father-child relationship. The scripture says that we should not provoke our children to wrath,
Mm-hmm.
and that we need to know our children. We need to know our stepchildren, the children that of that perspective that you're going to join with. You got to know, gain an understanding of those children. Observe how the mother deals with the children. And if you disagree with the way the mother is dealing with the children, y'all need to have that discussion about, maybe, I think maybe and this is before you got married. Maybe I saw you way you dealt with Junior. I'm not feeling that, or vice versa, and have those discussions to iron that out beforehand. From the standpoint of a woman with children that's marrying a man, here's the thing: if you don't honor the man, if you can't honor and respect the man, don't marry the man. If you don't trust the man, don't marry the man. You trust him with your life and with your well-being. You trust in him also with the life and the well-being of your children. Um, from a woman's standpoint, does the man have children of his own? See, a man that has never raised children, he can't you can't start him out with a 13-year-old, 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old son. He just doesn't have um, the sensitivity, the compassion, and the knowledge, and the wisdom and the knowledge, to be able to deal with those children the way that he needs to. Um, so that and again, we're talking about a subject that really the father never intended. The father never intended to be this way. This is the way Torah was. If the wife became a widow, if the woman became a widow, then the brother would come in. The brother of that man would come in, and this is our culture. This is what we lost. The brother of that child, or the uncles, would come in and cover that woman. The brother would cover that woman and those children, if he had children. If he didn't have children, then that brother was given the responsibility of raising up seed in that house, meaning that brother would take on his sister-in-law as his wife, and they would have children. They would have children together, raise up seed in that house. And so these discussions, I'm not going to call them sidebar discussions, but the step and half and all that type of stuff, it was just never really a part of Yah's plan. And that's why we have so many contingencies that come out in a negative sense, because it just wasn't a part of the Father's plan for us.
I want y'all to understand something that was just said. What's going on, Diary Unlocked? I want y'all to understand something that's very important. That whole statement that was just made. First things first. Women entering into the relationship, they weren't deflowered. So if the husband had a brother, we already know for the most part that if the older brother had younger brothers that had not been married, or even if he had younger brothers that were married, it still went in an order. So if the elder brother died and he was already married,
Mm-hmm.
then the other brother had a wife. We would skip him, and we would go to the brother's wife. And he raise up seed for his brother. Now, if all the brothers was married, somebody was going to have to take the responsibility for that wife and produce seed in that household. Now, this is very important for you to know because now it cuts off on the problems of respecting the man coming in, because the man coming in is their uncle, and the man coming in has a relationship with the children. Yeah, man, it's slippery, but it makes sense because a boy child is already going to have respect. Think about the respect that you have for your aunts, ladies. It's the same way that men have respect for their uncles. I love my dad's brother, my dad's baby brother, my dad's only brother. And when my father passed away, I told my uncle, "Looks like you dad now." That joker was looking at me crazy, but it's the fact when I have problems that I need a fatherly advice, I need to go to my uncle because he takes that role. And this is what people don't understand is that in our homes as Hebrews, it was very concrete. And all the brothers knew this. You know, this is what, oh Lord, look who showed up. This joker right here.
Man, don't you start that.
I'm going to say something, and I'm going to put it out there. I love this dude. Boy, your sense of time.
Man, you know I be on the road, bro. You know I be running trucks, bro. I be, bro. Hey, when you work for yourself, bro, it ain't like you work for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to go where the money go at. You know what I'm saying? Shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shoot.
Oh,
Believe you me. Hey. Just like yesterday, man. I turned on some loads yesterday when I was on the phone with y'all, man. I was trying to give me some rest at the same time, so I use you as an excuse.
Oh, dang. That's cold. That's cold. You gonna have Melinda mad at you gonna have the missus mad at me.
Hey, guess what? Look, she already mad with me. I need to share that some of this brother's pain.
Not taking, man. Let me tell you. So I'm glad you popped in because you popped in right in the subject that you like any dang way.
What is that?
We're talking about we're talking about stepfathers, and we're talking about when a man takes on the responsibilities how it was intended to be. And so we're talking about how the Hebrew man was knew that even when he took a wife, he was responsible for his brother's wife if anything was to happen to him. And I want y'all to understand this because people aren't looking at it from the perspective that me, Malak, Zakaria, and Yosef are looking at it from. This is a contract.
Right.
And remember, assets were exchanged.
That's right.
To ensure the inheritance, this is why you don't bring another man in. Because if you bring a man outside of the loop in, what happens is now the inheritance is split.
That's right.
They never wanted the inheritance or the assets of the relationships to be split.
This is the thing. Like I say, I always tell people, man. I know, brother Joseph. I used to say this is so much, bro. I know Joseph just shake his head because he like, yeah. All people not really ready for this book, bro. All people talk about they really want to be in this book. They're not ready for this book, man. We want to talk about freedom, man. We want to talk about liberation. It comes with so many things that our people are not ready for because we have fallen to Western culture. Our women, number one, our women wasn't hold out. The brothers want wives, but they want to hold the women out. You know what I'm saying? It was a responsibility for the man to take care of the women. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but the sisters have been messed over so bad that even the sisters that will consider going into a biblical marriage from a political standpoint, they kind of like skittish because of all the misinformation or disinformation or Eurocentric mindset, you know. But this was about preserving our people, preserving our land, preserving our riches, preserving our culture. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, when the man, if let's say for example, let's say Joseph was my biological brother, right? And I passed or he passed away, and I had a wife. It wasn't up to his wife to decide or my wife to decide. You know what I'm saying? If we didn't have any heirs, what he can do. It was in the custom. I had to take on his wife, or he had to take on my wife, and go into her having seed, and make sure that seed is named after the father. You know what I'm saying? And then make sure that inheritance is passed down. But our people have carnalized biblical marriage so bad and perverted it so bad because, like you said yesterday, Yemi, you know, in marriage, you know, don't get me wrong. Love was about showing the woman by taking care of her that he loved her. You know, it wasn't all this, you know, oh baby, you got some beautiful green eyes, baby. Oh, you just love me so good, or you got some big feet, baby. Whatever the emotion is, you know what I'm saying? It was something of substance, bro. You know what I'm saying? And our people have fallen so far that they can't have an adult conversation. And just like the Messiah redeemed us as a nation, you know, through his blood and spirituality, we as men are called to go redeem that which was lost, which is our women. We are supposed to redeem the women. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are not ready to have this conversation because, again, it makes them uncomfortable. But this is not about your feelings. This is not about your emotions. This is what is called, you know, for the men of Yasha Allah, and also what is supposed to redeem the women, because, you know, again, we in many aspects we are Hamashiach, you know what I'm saying, to give salvation to the women and to, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. But anyway, sorry about that, but yes, you're correct. You're correct. You're correct.
Malak, let me ask you this question: How long has you been on? How long has you been on? Did you just come in?
I just came in. I just came in. Actually, let me start off by telling everybody shalom. Forgive me, forgive my manners. Hopefully, everyone is doing wonderful today. You know, this time of year, I'm gonna get to what you're saying, but this time of year, people don't realize already we're dealing with the COVID already, right? And by me working for myself, I'm trying to find loads. The rates are low, you know. So my other truck is down. So me and my son's trying to fix my other truck. I just dropped off a load and I got back in town. And I'm tired. I drive through the night most of the time. So excuse me for my manners and my tardiness. No. But you know me. I don't take it bad. I don't take it bad. But you know, I want to make sure that everybody, you know, understand that I don't want to waste their time, because again, what these brothers are doing is very important, and I don't want to waste nobody's time. And I think what Jimmy is doing, and I think what Brother Joseph is doing, I think is very important. And how you pronounce his sister's name? Zakaria. Zakaria, shalom, sister, shalom. Nice to meet you. But yeah, Joseph, I just got on, my brother. I just got on.
The reason I asked you that question, Brother Malak, is this: I just gave that very example right before you came on, and so my point in bringing that to light is this: see, as Israel, we have to have the Torah. Torah is our opinion. Torah is our roadmap in how to regulate civil society. Torah is our roadmap on how to deal with family situations. Torah is our paradigm, y'all. And so, as you know, the example that I gave, and then Malak comes on, and we hadn't talked today. We hadn't talked about this issue today, but we were speaking the same thing in terms of what Yah's plan was as related to raising up seed. A woman becomes a widow, you know, whether they were deserted or whether the man died. the responsibility was that
Yes.
next was the brother
Yes.
to take on that woman. He's married, but he has a wife. But he takes on that woman. He covers her to raise up seed in the house. Because what we're dealing with when we deal with family, the family, you're dealing with a family trust.
That's right.
It's a family trust. It's a business. Just as Brother Malak was saying, there are assets and there are resources that have to stay within the family. In that sense, we're talking about cooperative economics. And again, because we've been poisoned in terms of our Western mentality and our conditioning. Our people not ready. But the way we get ready is with Torah.
With Torah, right.
Hold on for a second. Go find in Genesis. I know. Go find the story of Tamar and Yosef. I mean in Judah. Because people see it, because it'll make sense once they see it. It don't make sense from us just saying it. Now what I want to tell everybody is this. When you read the story of our progenitors, from Abraham, Abraham married who? Sarai, right? Sarai was his half sister. Okay. Who did Isaac marry?
Rebecca, huh?
Rebecca.
Who was Rebecca to Isaac?
His cousin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the property is staying inside of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When Rebecca had seed from Isaac, she was mad. She was hot. She was hot at Esau. Why was she hot at Esau?
Because he was married outside the nation.
He went and married a Canaanite.
Canaanite.
So what did that do? It made the inheritance split between nations.
That's right.
Man, people don't get this. So what did she tell her son Yaakov to go do?
Go see Laban. Go to Laban.
Who was Laban to her?
Her brother.
And so he picked the wife from out of his own family's household. And I know black folks are listening to this and they like, man, that's nasty. Because I'm one of them at first until my grandmama's funeral, and I found out that my great grandmama and my granddaddy were cousins.
I don't want to give away your lesson because I'm jumping way ahead because I kind of figure out some of where you're going at, even from Genesis, but going through the Hebrewic mindset, and then also where we at right now. When people go to the story of Adam and Adam and Eve, they're gonna find out the same thing. That bone of my bone, that's that rib. It's not actually a rib. I ain't gonna give it away. I'm gonna leave that alone. You know, I know you're going at. I don't know you're going at, but that's beautiful though, because we need to see this. Man. We really need to see this, and I do appreciate this. I know I don't tell you enough, but I really do appreciate you doing what you're doing.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Now, I want y'all to understand something. The principle was so important. It wasn't important. It wasn't as important to the people than it was to the Creator. It was more important to the Creator because, listen, we were made in His image and in His likeness. The nation of Israel, He redeemed them back to Himself. So we look like Him now. Listen to me. Adam fell away from the Father. Abraham brought us back to the Father.
That's right.
So Abraham was considered a righteous man. Why was Abraham righteous? Because he did what Adam was supposed to do. Follow, boy, I can preach this, and I ain't even no preacher. He did what Adam was supposed to do. What made Abraham righteous was that he kept the laws, statutes, and commandments. So now, Abram or Abraham, he changed his name from Abram to Abraham. And Abraham was righteous in his eyes, and he took on the nature of Yah. So he was connected by the authority. He moved by the authority of the blood-connected covenant. Zalim and Zamot. He was now in this blood-connected covenant with the Father. And so Abraham raised righteous seed to the Father. Isaac, not Esau, but Yaakov raised righteous seed unto the Father. So to keep that narrative going or the covenant going on, you had to marry back into righteousness. Boy, God, you found it out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to start at verse 138, Genesis 38. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned in unto a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and he went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name Er. And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Kezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah slew him. And Judah said to Onan, go into thy brother's wife and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed would not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in into his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased Yah, therefore he slew him also. You want me to keep going and stop right there?
We'll stop right there for a minute. This is the importance of not wasting seed when the seed has purpose.
The seed always has purpose among Israel. Israel seed. Like we Israel's seed has purpose.
That's right.
Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. I just had to put it out there. We have no clue. And our Western conditioning and our upbringing, we have no clue.
To edify even more so what Yemi was saying yesterday about the natural order of the reproduction system. You know, the woman is for to carry the man's seed and bring forth a child, right? Do you know the average man has about 1 million to 40 million sperm cells in one set of ejaculation or whatever? And he produces this once a day. A woman carry up to, she have one seed that she can give once a month, but you know she can have like multiple children, like twins and stuff like that. But my point is, this once a month, the woman she's fertile once a month and have seed once a month, but a man every day. So when you look at that from a scientific perspective, you know, you take about 30 men, 40 men, and you can repopulate the whole world of just 40 men. Go ahead, sister. Sister want to say something right now. She want to say something. Go ahead, ma'am.
There's a couple of times I lost y'all for a while, so I'm sorry. I didn't get to hear a lot of the things that you said, King, and I'm sorry about that. And there was things I want to do. I want to interject, but I did want two things to touch on. The thing about as far as being a stepfather, um, I don't think you have to have children to know how to
Cool,
raise a
cool. Yeah,
child,
yeah. Go ahead.
because we didn't know how to raise children when we first
Woo!
had them. Being a
Woo!
parent is a trial and error thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to raise them by interacting with the child, and every child is different. And so, like for instance, with my king, he doesn't have any children. But the thing is that, and also discipline does not also have to mean you have to put your hands on the child. Like with him, his thing was he was like, we could shut the power off to his room and tell him to come in here and read a book. So in the midst of his discipline, he's also learning. So there's different ways. You have some parents to be like, some children be like, well, you can't touch me because you ain't my daddy. I don't have to touch you, but you're gonna get out there and you're gonna break them leaves and you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. There's different ways that you can show your authority without having to place your hands on a child. I can't see the question, so I'm sorry for the brother who probably posed the question and I didn't see it, and I'm sorry. But I did want to touch on that. And as far as with the thing about the seed, there's so many different men that's having all of these random children
There
but
you go.
cannot provide for these children. But from my understanding with the scripture, it says that if a
That's
man does
right.
not take care of his
There you
household,
go.
he's
Come
worse
on
than
with
an
it. Come
infidel.
on with it, sister.
So the thing is that then you have men that also have to understand that just because you can
There you
doesn't mean
go.
you should. And everything that is lawful is not expedient. So they also have to take account into
Yeah,
that as well.
yeah.
There's children of promise and there's children of
There you
flesh.
go.
So we have to be very
There you
mindful and be
go.
spirit led in everything we do,
There you
even
go.
when it comes to procreation.
There you go. There you
Just
go.
want
There
to
you
throw that
go.
out there. So
Let me touch up on the two subjects that the sister just brought up on. And it's ironic because I just spoke about that to my wife yesterday or day before yesterday. The question was about, like you said, about being a perfect parent or raising children. You know, my mom and my dad didn't raise me. My grandmother and my aunts and my uncles raised me. But being that I was not raised by my biological parents, the things that I experienced in life showed me how to become a better parent when I have my own children. So, like you said, if it's in you, it's by the grace of the Most High. It's by the grace of Yah. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, bad experiences can be the ultimate teacher. You know what I'm saying? In life. You know what I'm saying? Not that you have to have a playbook, but you learn about through trial and error. You know what I'm saying? And also about dealing with the seed, about these men having seed that can't provide for them. That's one of the number one issues in Israel. And that's why it's very important that the men who are able, from a spiritual standpoint and from a financial standpoint, to be able to step into those roles, because those children we can't leave those children behind. Those children are there to be redeemed as well. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times what happens is, like you said about emotionism, just because it's lawful don't mean it's expedient, which is very, 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 very true. But we supposed to grab all the data, pray about it, fast about it, and let the Most High and let the Ruach guide us. Because again, if we don't tackle these subjects, what's going to happen is we're going to let the emotions guide us and not the Ruach. You know what I'm saying? So these are subjects that have to be really taught and touched upon, and remove the, because again, the Most High don't care about our emotions. And if we look at it, the reason why we are in the state that we are in right now is because we're scared to talk about it. The men are scared to talk about it because the wife gonna bust them over the head, or the women they're scared to talk about it because they think they're gonna be replaced. You know what I'm saying? So, but that has nothing to do with the subject of matter. This is an epidemic. You know what I'm saying? And it has to be addressed, because if you ignore the elephant in the room, it's not gonna go away. You know what I'm saying?
In all thy ways, do what?
Acknowledge
Get
him.
understand. That's right. In all the ways.
What Proverbs 3 says, trust in Yah with all our heart and lean not into thy own understanding. That's why we talk about getting in Torah.
That's right.
In all thy ways acknowledge him and he shall direct thy paths. Well, we're finding a lot in Israel, what we're finding, and I'm gonna finish real quick. I'm sorry, Yemi. But what we're finding in Israel, we have too many of our brothers and sisters who come into the truth, but have no knowledge of Torah.
That's right.
And so if we have no knowledge of Torah, then the Ruach is the one that brings to our remembrance the things that we've learned. And he's the one that guides us to all truth. But if we have no truth, we have no Torah within us, then the Ruach, we're left to our own devices.
Mm-hmm.
We're finding brothers, and I'll harp on this, with Brother Malak all the time. We've got these brothers who come into the truth to change their name, but they ain't changed. The nature ain't been changed.
There you go. There you go. There we go. Yes, right. That's right.
Why you changing your name from brother to to Yasharal, and you still brother, dude?
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
They kill me. They kill me. Want to come in first? They want to do a change of name, and they're still the same old joker.
Okay. And how long did I know you before you took your Israelite name?
Man, I just took that name on yourself. It's been what? I haven't had that name for 6 months.
Exactly,
been the truth almost 10 years.
It took me almost 6 years before I took my Hebrew name, because you blasted me with that very same thing that you said. I said, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you about that conversation real quick." It was a weekday because I had just gotten off of work, and I ran home and I went upstairs and I was laying on the couch and I called Joseph, and I said, man, I'm tired of being called by this dang government name. I know it's my daddy's name, but I'm sick of it. I'm gonna take a Hebrew name. And this joke said, for what? And I knew I had messed up right then, at that moment. I knew I had messed up. That joke said, for what? I said, well, I need to take my Hebrew name. And he was like, no, you don't. No, you do not. He said, what has changed about you? And I was like, nothing. He said, so if your name is supposed to meet your change and be entered into covenant with the Father, you still doing the stuff you was doing on the out before you came in. You disgracing yourself in the name of the Father, and it makes sense. And it wasn't until about 3 years later when Yah really gave me my name. Mm-hmm. I actually woke up out of a dream to my name. Mm-hmm. It made me understand the importance of why I took that name. I was called. I thought he wanted me to take the name of Jeremiah or Yirmiyahu, but then in the dream he said, take out the resh. And I'm like, that don't make sense. So I'm starting to look up what the name means. And I asked Yosh what it meant. I asked Hulda what it meant. And they were like, well, it's a derivative of Jeremiah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, it's something in my spirit didn't sit right. And then Sister Monica had me on the phone one day and she said, we need to walk through this because her mother is Ashkenazim. Her mother was Ashkenazim, so she has that. She said, your name means water. And I'm like, what? She said, yeah, your name means water. And so by you saying Yirmiyahu, your name means waters of God or waters of Yah. Mm-hmm. And then I was like tripped out behind it. And I said that to say this. Everything that we do has purpose. Everything that we do as Hebrew Israelites or as people in this walk, unbeknownst to ourselves, every step that we make has a purpose. Yah works by purpose and by plan. That's why the Torah was given to us. People got to understand, when you don't have kids and you go into raising children, you have a blueprint. The Torah contains everything that we need to raise up a child in the way that it should go. When the Bible says raise a child in the way that it should go, and when it gets older, it would not depart from it. It ain't talking about how you talk to a child. It's talking about Torah.
Mm-hmm. Bless you. While he's getting himself together, just to kind of expand on what he was saying, what he's saying there, that the Torah, when we take on Torah, understanding of Torah, we begin to understand the Father, and then when we understand the Father, we're able to understand ourselves, who we are in Him, who we are as it relates to what our destiny and what our destiny and what our purpose is in Him. And our name comes from that. Our name shouldn't come from another person giving me a name, or or just something I look in a Hebrew dictionary of names and say, well, I like that one. No, it's the name is a part of your nature.
That's right.
Who are you? Who are you? And it's very important. And that comes from the Ruach. The Ruach is the one that works with us and deals with us and provides us with that name. And we find ourselves walking in the character of that name over the process of time. And so it's important for Yasharala Israel to understand that, you don't choose the name. Yah gives you your name. Yah gives us our name.
Me and you worked side by side for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've been knowing each other for years, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people, you learn from people even though they might not know that you're learning from them.
Right.
Like again, you work with me at UPS, man, and you know how I was when I was at UPS.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell people this all the time, man. The humility that I learned, because you know me, man, I was been in management, and I was just straight and direct. You know what I'm saying? Either you gonna get the job done, or you just wasn't there. That was it. You know what I'm saying? But I learned my humility, man, watching you and watching Melinda, man. Y'all taught me a lot. And again, a lot of people want to be leaders, but they don't know how to be followers.
Right.
You have to know how to follow.
Absolutely.
Before you can lead.
Absolutely.
And not only that, you have to be able to produce fruit from the things, so from your experience in life. That also qualify you as leadership. You know what I'm saying? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to follow? Are you willing to do the things that you are asking other people to do? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the problem with Israel. Israel wants the title. Everybody wants the title of leader or elder or brother or whatever. But what is your history? Is your history reflecting of that? You know what I'm saying? And so when we look at where we at right now in this walk, and we have picked up many bad habits in this captivity. If you're not trying to run away from your oppressor and what he has systematically used to guide you and navigate you and control you, then you're choosing who you're willing to serve, Yah or the system. And sometimes you have to do extreme things to get extreme measures, to get extreme results. And again, like I said, when I stopped shaving my beard at UPS, what I had to go through, missing out on a big promotion that would make me six figures, you know what I'm saying? You feel me?
Absolutely.
But again, and people dream about making six figures in their life. And here it is, I had the opportunity, but I'd rather serve Yah, you know what I'm saying? Wanted me to work on the Shabbat, you know what I'm saying? I mean, on and on and on. But people are not willing to sacrifice. People say, well, oh man, he got a big house, he got he got nice cars, he got this here, but they don't know what I sacrificed in my life to get to where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm blessed that my sons are not criminals. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, my sons became men, and then I learned about the truth. I don't have the, you know what I'm saying, the luxury of the, or like some of these younger people to have a young seed to raise in this truth. You know what I'm saying? And they just shun it away like it's nothing. You have the greater blessing. You know, people look at where I'm at in my life and look at I'm blessed. I'm blessed with my health and my knowledge, but to have that seed of your own to raise them in Torah, I would give all that away for this here right here, for this moment right here. And that's what I think our people really miss. They don't understand. This is one of the most wonderful times to be at right now, is understanding who we are as Israel. But what is the measure of your sacrifice? What are you willing to do for the Father to show your love, your honor, your you understand, your how you want to exalt him and worship him. So yes.
So what that really does is when we turn back to Torah. This is why on yesterday I was saying that when you look at 2 Chronicles 7:14, when he starts talking about turning back from your wicked ways, he's saying, or even, you remember the argument that we used to always have in the fellowship when we were meeting at the house. Come ye out of her. If you haven't left her here,
that's right.
If you haven't left the system here, there ain't no need for you to go buy no land. Just like there ain't no need for you to change your name. There ain't no need for you to do all those things that you think you're going to have to do, because you're still connected to her here.
That's right.
In raising a family, how we turn back the family unit and we put our brothers back in their rightful position is honestly to follow Torah.
That's right.
Let me cut to the chase, because we had day 5, episode 5 of the teaching. The way that you redeem the black man, the way that you bring the black man back, the way that you get the black man back the bar, or back in line, is to go back to the scriptures and putting the script first. What did we say before? That Yeshua HaMashiach is the old ox, and his yoke is what did he say? My yoke is easy.
My yoke is easy and my burden is light.
And the reason why it is because you have taken up the cross and you have followed him. I keep going back to this because he don't know you if you ain't worked in the field with him. He don't know you if you haven't been connected to him. And this is what the yoke does. It connects you to the Father. The word connects you to the Father. It makes you work according to the Torah. Listen, we all fall short. Listen, when oxen are in that field and they're plowing that field, the line that they are on is not always straight. There's times that it may waver. But because they are hooked to that strong ox, they get back in line. They get back with it. That's why you don't hook an ass and a donkey together. I get so sick and tired of people talking about being unevenly yoked and not knowing what that means.
Yeah.
Unevenly yoked means that you don't hook a donkey up with an ass up to an ox. You don't hook up something that ain't willing to carry the same burden as you. This is the uneven yoke. I'm carrying all the weight, and you ain't carrying a dang thing. When them women are working, and their husband's sitting on their butt not bringing no money in, that's unevenly yoked.
That's right.
when that man is making his wife look like a raccoon around the face once or twice a week, that's unevenly yoked. When a woman denies sex to her husband because she's in a mood, that's unevenly yoked.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't Torah.
And vice versa.
Oh yeah, when you deny. Look, I had this conversation the other day. I said, listen, if my wife wants to be intimate with me and I'm not in the mood to do it, I need to start doing something that's gonna get me in the mood. And if I start doing that thing that gets me in the mood, then I can fulfill my role to her.
You know, a lot of the examples dealing with the animals are not just for allegories. They're not just. They are there from a cultural perspective, really to shed light on a situation. When the Most High compared us to an ass, or when Yeshua Hamashiach says, "My sheep know my voice." When you look at animals, you take what they call domesticated animals, dogs, horses, cows. Those, the average animal, they will go to any stranger. But when you talk about sheep, sheep only answers the voice of their master. You know, when you talk about an ass, the stiff neck of an ass, again, it goes back to the principle. When we look at Torah, and you're trying to, Torah is about not only planting seed, but plowing a straight line. You know what I'm saying? You know, an ass is stiff neck. He gonna do what he want to do. He's not gonna go straight. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna tell. You know, a man that's walking behind that ass, he might decide to just sit down. He's like, hey man, I don't feel like working today. You know, so we have to understand those a lot of those things have cultural implications, man, to really get us to see something that's greater than from spiritual eyes that we can't really see with a Western mindset. You know,
that's a fact. That's a fact. The way that you switch the roles back, honestly, is that people have to embrace what the scripture says, and this gets rid of misogyny. It gets rid of the femininity of the feminist movement. It gets rid of all of that. The Bible talks about a man that acts like a woman. It tells us about that. And what we've got now is a generation of men who got this feminine characteristic. And like me, Malak, and yourself can meet as men and air out our disagreements as men without getting an attitude with one another. And I'll be honest with you, Malak, I'm gonna say it, Malak be pissing me off sometimes. And I'm just gonna say it because Malak don't pull no damn punches. And I'm sorry, y'all gonna hear me go off for a minute. Malak be pissing me off when he get mad or when he don't agree with something I do. Malak ain't gonna hold his tongue. He gonna call me, and usually I know when I'm in trouble. Usually I know when I'm in trouble because Joseph gonna be on the phone too, and so he gonna jump on me, and then Malak gonna kind of undercut, and then Joseph gonna undercut it and try to smooth it out. Man, y'all don't understand, man. I be catching blows over here, bro. I be catching blows. But see, the thing is, I love and respect them for bumping me up against my head. Look, man, they know, Malak and Joe know everything there is to know about Yemi. You know, they know I come from a hoish mindset. They know that I'm warped and twisted and crazy as a bat out of Hades. But the fact of the matter is, these brothers understand the potential in me. See, this is the great thing about being evenly yoked. We're evenly yoked because they understand potential in me and they put me under the yoke, their yoke, which should be the yoke of Torah. And they walk with me on the field. I'm not going to get it right all the time. And they let me know. But see, Joseph said something that was very profound in my development because they're trying to develop me. Joseph said, "Look, we take all the weight off of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want y'all to listen. They take all the weight off of me. They do all the family calls. So when we have family members in our fellowship that are going through issues, we don't always go see them. I might talk to them on the phone, but Malak and Joseph go out and they do the family calls. Why? Because they want me before the Father. You ain't got time to handle that if you before the Father. Do you hear about Moses making house calls? I'm not comparing myself to Moses, but these brothers have gotten away to where they say, "Look, Jimmy," and then if my word ain't right, if the word that I give ain't right, they like, I done gave you all week to be before the Father, and you come with this. Either you ain't been before the Father, or we need to understand what your connection is.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that from the men. But see, black men nowadays, they can't take that.
They can't take that. Exactly.
They can't take that. And another thing that I've learned in life is that our black men want to fight about things that they don't need to fight over. They act like
exactly.
They act like women.
This is what people don't understand. What's beautiful about our relationship, all three of our relationship. Like Yemi said, good cop, bad cop. I'm the one gonna come there and tell you what it is, and Joseph gonna come back and smooth out. Hey man, so, you know what I'm saying? Because again, a lot of our people, they deal with their emotions, and what happens is a lot of these brothers, they want to talk that talk, and again, I tell people just go ask somebody on Facebook that really know me, and they're gonna tell you that brother right there. I'm gonna just leave it right there. I always question why the Father chose me. Look, my hobbies was spotting still and standing lean. That's what I did for a living. I want you to put out there. I was spotting still and standing lean. That's what I did for a living. You know what I'm saying? So
they don't know what that means.
Hey, when they figure it out, they're gonna be like, okay, wow, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let me say I had a career, but it wasn't always a good one.
That's right.
You feel me? But again, you know, I've done a lot. I mean, I've been in the world. I mean, I've done music. I've been around a lot of the so-called big entertainers out there. I've done a lot of that stuff, and I turned my back on that years ago. And I think that's why the Most High gave me, you know what I'm saying, gave me the heart that He gave me, because I was willing to turn down a successful music career as a promoter, because I didn't want to put out that kind of music to you know, promote killing my people and you know what I'm saying, belittling our women and stuff like that. So I love my people, man. I would give my life for my people just like that. I love my people too much. So, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you, brothers. I'm grateful for you.
And we all learn from one another. You know, what I wish, and Malak and I have had these conversations a lot. The relationship that we have and the accountability that we share with one another, we really wish that we could see that from the female side.
Come on with it. Come on with it.
You know, and I'm gonna say it like this, because the mature woman is supposed to teach the younger.
Right.
I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna flip it over back to our side and give an example. You know, I was involved in Christian ministry for more than 30 years. Okay, and so when Brother Malak and I teamed up with previous ministry, he was a teacher. He served as a teacher, and myself as an elder. One of the things that I had to that we did is that he was the primary teacher of Moray. But one of the things that he had to learn was he had to learn ministry. And he had a love for the people, but here's the thing that he had to learn, that you love people and you sacrifice for people. And you've been, and you I mean, you take the shots for people, and you expect the best out of people, and you give them responsibility, and then they turn around and they don't stab you in the back, they stab you in the chest, they stab you in the forehead, you know, and one of the things that he learned was that, especially in ministry, man, you know, you people do that to you. You just have to you suffer it. You learn to suffer through that and bleed through that. You know, and I just wish that we could see that more amongst our sisters. You know, where we could be secure in your role, as whether you're a senior, whether you're a junior, whatever. You know, be secure enough in your role to share and mentor one another, and not feel threatened by one another.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And I don't know I don't know the answer to that, Sister Zakaria. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Maybe you would be able to shed some light on that, in terms of women, the Hebrew women, uh, uh, ministering to and being there for one another in a tangible way.
Honestly, I think that there's a lot of sisters that's out there that's actually, in
Okay.
fact, doing that. I don't think it's, but see, the thing is that the problem is that, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I explained to you about
Mm-hmm.
my situation when I came in, a lot of sisters has come into this walk and has
That's
been
right.
abused by a lot of the kings. And
Okay.
we have to get past the scars that caused that, because you have to understand the scars that I had to endure from the man who was in my life. I mean, he had me to the point where he was in a whole different other state, and I had to
Wow.
ask for permission to leave my house. When he would rebuke me, I would be crying for 2 days straight with the way he rebuked me. He used my love for the Father against me, to the point where anything that I could have said and thought about me, anything that he said was sin, he would say that I would be damned to hell for. It was extreme
Okay.
manipulation of me and also family members. The thing is that he was also, so the thing is that we have to first get past, and then you have the woman stay silent, shut up. But it was one day, I'm gonna give you an example. It was one day, I was going through, because he kind of isolated me from everybody. He had told me that my son should be with his father. He didn't even care about, and I'm not saying anything bad about my ex-husband. That's not what I want to convey. But my ex-husband isn't settled to a point where he has time to be able to put into a child, because the scriptures are given to us for us to learn. Remember the story about the young boy that was out there in the field with his father. His head was hurting. He sent him back to his mother, and the mother put him on her lap, and then the child died, and she went and put him on
Mm-hmm.
the prophet's bed, and she left to go find the man of the Most High. She didn't even bother to tell her husband where she was going or what happened, because for the simple fact of and this is just my what I feel it was, and it could be totally wrong, but she didn't want
Mm-hmm.
nobody speaking any negativity over what was there. She went to go get the man of the Most High, so he could come, and because she had said she didn't want a child, but he said that because of what she did for him, that she would be blessed because of that. So the thing is that when it comes to uh him not even wanting to know that situation, it was give him to his father, not realizing what would be more detrimental for my son. But it was a whole
Mm-hmm.
thing of trying to separate me from everybody. So it was one night he had reached out to me, and we were supposed to have study, and he kept not showing up for study, so I would have to wait, but I had to ask for permission to be able to read anything. And so it was like I was in the house. He was like, you can't listen to anything secular. The TV is evil. This is evil. That is evil. And I was just isolated. And so he had called, and he had messaged me, and he had canceled study again. And I was like, and I hesitated, because I didn't want to offend him or to anger him. But then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna say it because it is what it is. And I told him, I was like, if your foot was hurting, wouldn't you check on your foot? And he was like, well, if my foot is hurting for no reason, then I'm supposed to ignore it. And I said, well, how would you know if there's no reason if you don't even bother to ask? So then we got into the thing of a conversation about, the way the man should be treating the
Mm-hmm.
women, how women are so emotional, and how, a man can't feed into all of that. But I'm like, how would you know if you don't even bother to care? I said, I'm confused when it came to Hannah and Elkanah. Elkanah didn't tell her, shut up and go sit in the corner. He said, Hannah, what's wrong? Why are you not eating?
Mm-hmm.
Am I not greater than 10 sons? He spoke to his wife from a place of compassion. He was like, no, he didn't. He told her, shut up and go eat. What's wrong with you? Ain't I greater than 10 sons? That's how he gave it to me. Do you
Yeah.
see?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, but that's not what I see. And see, the thing is that there are a lot of kings. Like, for instance, there was a point of time where my son, he had caught a cold, and he was having, chronic nosebleeds just back to back to back. And I didn't know what's going on, and he was throwing up. And I reached out to him, but he wouldn't answer the phone. I never called, but I learned that back whenever, before the truth, my first boyfriend uh, kind of taught me how to be more like submissive. I knew there was things I couldn't say, couldn't speak on. I never reached out. I allowed him to reach out to me, and I continued that into my marriage. So whenever I met him, it wasn't anything new to me. To I even feel uncomfortable with calling the king I have now because I never did it. I've always messaged first because my ex-husband was the same way. And so I messaged him, and I was like, my son is nose is bleeding. I got to take him to the hospital. He didn't respond. So I called, and I'm like, I'm so sorry for calling you, but his nose is bleeding. I got to take him. He didn't respond. Okay. So then I messaged him, and I was like, you know what? I pray that you don't get upset about this, but I got to go. And I told him, come on, let's go. And I got 4 minutes down the road, and he called me. No, to me, he messaged me and was like, yes, I'm disappointed in you. And he was like, from here on out, you don't ask me nothing. Don't ask me, could you do this? Don't ask me, could you do that? Because you choose to be disobedient. And I was like, well, do you want me to stop saying good morning, good night too?
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, I'm not playing this game with you because my child's safety is involved. Us, the kings have to understand what we have endured in this walk so far. So they look at us and look at us with our thorns, but not recognizing that, yes, I may be a beautiful rose, but I do have a thorn. And just because you don't choose to deal with that thorn does not mean it or takes away from my value or my beauty.
Yes, yes,
We have
yes,
endured a lot. So the thing is that
yes,
the way we're being
yes,
handled is important. We have to
yes,
think about
yes,
those things too. But
Mm-hmm.
that's
yes,
not what it is. It's like people look at people and don't
yes,
understand why they're not getting it right, not realizing
yes,
what brought them to that place.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
you do have
yes,
sisters like me that's trying to tell other sisters,
yes,
about how to be soft with our kings. But how can you be soft with someone who chooses to treat you with
yes.
gloves with spikes on it? So
You
we're
know,
out
you
there,
know.
but I'm sorry.
No, 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 sister. No, you're fine. You're fine. Well, everything you're saying, I guarantee you, if you talk to brother Yemi or brother Yosef, they're gonna say Malak. I always say that. A lot of these brothers out here have mistreated a lot of the sisters. Sister, everything you say, I agree with you 100. In matter of
Mm-hmm.
fact, 1,000%.
Yeah.
But there are kings like like myself, like brother Yosef and brother Yemi that are out there that this what brother Joseph used to tell our previous ministry. Don't ask Malak about himself. Go ask his wife about him. Pull her to the side and ask her about him. Don't ask me about me. Go ask the people that work for me how I am. See what I'm saying? But being that I am like that, don't think for not one time, sister, that brothers like myself haven't experienced women that have taken advantage of my kindness, and that's why I get stern because I'm the type of person I'm gonna work with you, but then I'm gonna remove the excuses. You know, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? And we have to get to the point where this book is have to be really taken serious. I believe in the book from front to back. I'm serious about the book, and I'm willing to sacrifice myself for all my people. But the problem is there's this spirit amongst whether it's the men or the women where they want to play games. So, but everything you say, sister, I agree with you 100%. I don't know your ex, I don't know your old king, but again, I'm pretty sure that every brother on this panel would say, salat for him, forgive me for what he have done to you. You know what I'm saying? Forgive me for what he have done to you, because I don't want that king or another king to be representative of me if he's not leading right, he's not leading correct. You know what I'm saying? Because if a man cannot rule his home, he cannot rule the kingdom of the Most High. You know, your house is supposed to be a microcosm of the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So I do understand exactly what you say. And I tell you what, my wife don't operate in fear. You know what I'm saying? And there's a sister that's up under me that I'm teaching her and grooming her as well. And I put it out there. You know what I'm saying? She's been grown. You know, to fulfill a need in my family. You know, growing my family. And I don't owe no man no explanation, but I do talk to these brothers, and these brothers, they know about the sister. You know what I'm saying? And again, I hold that sister to a standard because again, when I was in the world, I never chased women, so it's not about me having multiple wives and multiple sexual partners and whatever. I see a need in my family, and I see somebody that can fulfill that need, and I need my wife, to understand it, and she understands that, you know what I'm saying? And I don't neglect my wife with anything, you know what I'm saying? But I hold my wife accountable, and at the same time, she holds me accountable. My wife speaks freely. I don't, well, shut up, woman, you can't say nothing, and blah, 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 blah. I don't do that. But if I got to do that with my wife, shit, I don't need her. I don't need a woman to have to rule like that. But I don't need no woman that's gonna be fat mouth, and because how some of these sisters are, they get the Shanae head shake and the finger pointing, and they think, well, I don't need no man, and all, you know what I'm saying, and I'm smarter than man and all that. And a lot of these brothers misuse these sisters because they've been devalued. So when they come into the position of authority or who they are, they don't know what that is. So that's why there's those bad. And I'm not making an excuse. I'm just giving you why these brothers are like that. But they need to be. We as brothers have to groom these brothers and teach these brothers and show these brothers, because they have a job to do, and that's to redeem the system. Hello, anybody?
You hear me? You got the floor.
Oh, I think the sister got something. I
Oh,
think she
I'm
has
sorry.
something.
I'm sorry, sister. Did you
She
have
has
something else?
something. She has something.
Oh no, but and I don't even take it as you. I think a lot of times like, when it comes to even with the multiple wives thing, everyone who chose everyone who I can't even say chose, because if we look at the scriptures, the way they received their wives, their second wives, was from a different way. The why the go ahead, Yemi.
Let's not have this conversation on the panel.
Yeah, let's wait till it's over, and then we'll have that behind. Because again, like I tell people, I don't think a lot of people are ready to have this conversation.
Yeah,
I really don't.
let's don't have this
I don't think
conversation
people
on
are ready
the
to
panel.
have this conversation.
Because once again, we don't want to bring in division because there's
That's right.
two trains of thought. And right now, our concern is more about the black man and
Exactly.
redeeming his proper position with the Father. And by doing that, then we come into a position of righteousness. I could go on and on and on and on about different values when it comes to marriage. But this ain't really all about marriage. This is about the principles in receiving a pardon from the Most High, so
That's
that
right.
we
That's
can
right.
get back in the proper positioning to
That's right.
follow the word of Yah. Listen, I told y'all all that I'm not an advocate for or against. And so, what you do in your free time is your business.
That's right.
But when it comes to the ministry, that is my business. And we need to stay focused on the fact that we are dealing with an Israelite culturally that still don't have Torah right.
That's right.
And
That's right.
to add in all these other bones, when you eat fish, you try to take the bones out. Don't mean that you don't. It don't mean that you don't see the
Don't miss
bones in
one.
the plate.
That's right.
You just you can't eat all the bones sometimes. Just like when grandmama fried up bread. She fried them jokers hard. You could eat those bones, But try to do that with a bathroom, you're gonna be in the emergency room. Some people ain't ready for those bones, so
Exactly.
we're gonna leave that part of this conversation way away from this panel, because that's another panel for another day. What I want to do before we close though is this. Next
Yimmy,
week,
Yimmy. Right fast.
uh-huh.
And I think the sister kind of understand about the value of the men. I really do. And I think most sisters think that when we speak about adding value to the men, we're leaving them behind. And that's not what this is about. We're not leaving the women behind. But the men have to be the priests. They have a job to do. And if we don't put things, and I think that's what Yemi is trying to get everybody to understand, if we don't put the natural order back into perspective, we're gonna miss the boat. And this captivity have devalued the men so bad. And again, it's our fault for devaluing the women, but that's why we have to add. That's why we have to bring the men back to where they're supposed to be at, so they can go do what they're supposed to do, is to add the value back to the women. The men, and it's not that we're trying to separate the women or trying to overlook the women or overshadow the women or even leave the women, but you have to have the kings in their proper perspective. You have to have the elders, you have to have the leaders, you have to have the brothers in their proper understanding their roles, where they can begin to operate and receive that blessing from Yahuwah, to do what Yahuwah called them to do spiritually and physically in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to be said that we sit here and we bash women, because that's not our responsibility
No,
to
no.
do. The spirit corrects, and it leads us in the manner. If we walk by the spirit, we'll be able to show. But right now, as black men, we got to get ourselves straight. We
That's
got
right.
we've got to line up with script, because
That's
if
right.
we don't line up with script, then how in the world can we take the role of the proper husbandman?
That's right.
That's why I didn't label the problem with the black family. I was talking about the destruction of the black man, because
That's right.
that's the link in the chain that they're hitting.
That's right.
Um,
That's
you
right.
know,
That's right.
I've seen people. That's the link that they got the bolt cutter on. If they cut us out of the picture, all they got to do is put themselves in our position. That's what the
Mm-hmm.
Ashkenazim have done spiritually. They placed
Mm-hmm.
themselves in our position. And
Mm-hmm.
even when it comes to the family unit, we've gotten our sisters in a position to where now they depend. Look, when I say depend on our oppressors, this is what I mean. When a woman reveres her job more than she reveres her family, then she has placed the white man, or I hate to say it like that, she has placed the
That's
system above you.
right.
You know,
That's right.
when she looks at her job as more important than your sanity as a husband, then she has placed the system above you. Husbands, honor thy wives as if they were the weaker vessel.
That's
You
right.
should take care of your women like you take care of your testicles.
Mm-hmm.
That means you wash them when they're dirty. You empty them when they're full. You shave them when they too hairy. You do all the stuff that you're supposed to do for your wife like you would yourself. It don't mean that she's weaker than you, because life is carried in your wife, just like
Mm-hmm.
life is carried in your testicles. You are supposed to transfer seed from one vessel to another vessel.
That's
All
right.
Man, let me get this out here. Let me put this out here. Only thing your penis is a shaft that transfers life. Boy, if you didn't get that after it leaves out of your testicles, all your penis is something that transfers life. And our problem is we care more about the shaft than we do what's in it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We worry more about we don't need to put that before the woman.
That's
But
right.
brother, just real quick, and brother Malak has said this, and we've discussed this a lot. The three of us have. Uh, in order for us to understand our culture, we cannot understand our culture if we have no knowledge of agriculture. And in
Agriculture.
agriculture, what's the most important the thing in agriculture is the seed.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
the seed and the seed is life. And I made that statement. Let me say this. And one of the things that we as brothers, for anyone that's on this chat, we've had in common from the beginning. We value and highly esteem our wives,
Come on.
our
Come on.
women,
Come on with it.
our
Come on.
sisters.
Come on.
And
Come on with it.
that is can be no more evident than what we have here. We're talking about the destruction of the black man, and we bring a sister on our panel and ask her, give her a voice, and ask her and learn from her, so we can help. Not so we can understand, but so we can have that communicated from the female perspective. Sister, how you see this? Sister, what's your opinion? What's your thought on this? And to be able to bring her on and to be able to have that voice, that just should show prove to anyone that's listening that's going to see this is that uh, the female perspective or sister's perspective is highly sought after and needed because
That's right.
again, you've got the Ab is the strong provider that upholds the home, and the Ama, y'all help me now. I don't know why I can't get that right. The Ima,
Imuna.
she's the glue that holds the home together. The glue that holds the home together, and you can't have one without the other. But again, it starts with the man, and we have to. Those of us who are mores and teachers and elders in Israel, number one, have to teach the word. We have to be an example of the word, and we have to be able to hold each other accountable.
What?
In Israel, as men, we have to hold each other accountable. And a lot of times you'll find the abuse, you find these abuses, you have a male abusing his women or his woman, his sister, his mother, his children, whatever, because they are law unto themselves.
Exactly. There you go. Come on with it, Doc. You know what I love about not only us as brothers, but I'm glad that Yemi invited the sister on the panel, not only to express her from her perspective, but what her perspective did was actually come out and say what I have been saying for years. I've been saying this for years, Doc. I mean, this is a product. A lot of sisters have been verbally abused, physically abused by these brothers, and it's hard. They need to be healed. They need to be protected. They need to be given some sense of respect that we have. Again, I don't know. I haven't done enough personally, but I still hold myself accountable because a lot of these brothers are a reflection of us. So we have a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying? We really have a lot of work to do. But also what that means is the brothers that are doing the work, it takes sisters like her to esteem those brothers and say, you know what? I've seen brothers, I've met brothers that are not like my ex or my husband or my friend or my this one and that one. And these brothers are really taking it serious, and they're trying to get rid of that stigma, trying to get rid of that bad reputation and things of that nature. Because we could talk about the emotionalism all day long, But like Jimmy is saying, we have to put the rubber to the road. It's time. The brothers that are trying to heal these sisters and do what they're doing, let's give that attention. Let's give the people who are trying to heal and do work attention. Because again, we have to look at the fruit. Again, like Jimmy said, if you don't change your mind, you can't come out of her. You know what I'm saying? And again, and I tell people, it starts by doing some self-examining. You have to look at yourself and be critical of yourself. Be critical of yourself. I'm not perfect. I don't know it all, but I tell you what, I'm willing to listen. But one thing about me, I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to say, okay, now when I do this, these are the results we need to have, and we're going to get this. So now what is your position? Because I don't want to, don't hold me accountable, but don't hold yourself accountable. Because that's unfair to me. You know what I'm saying? These brothers are calling me out on anything. I don't run from nothing. They're gonna tell you it is what it is. But guess what? When I come at you, I don't want no excuses. I don't well next week or next month or I can't or I forgot it. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what our people do.
We need each other as men, understanding that when we have entered into covenant with one another, because we have broken bread, we have shared a meal, we have sat at the same table. We are actually in covenant with one another.
That's right.
And because we are in covenant with one another, I have an obligation to you. I have an obligation to yourself. And by this, there are penalties when we don't keep our obligations.
That's right.
And this is something that is important for the black man to see, is that you can be in relationship with a brother and not have animosity towards them because of their thoughts, because of how they live, how much money they make, how good their wives look, all of that. Because men worry about the wrong stuff out here in the world. I'm telling you, they start to act like women.
Come on with it, Doc. Come on with it. Come on, man.
And they want to get into gunplay and they want to do all this crazy stuff because they've allowed the oppressor to strip them of their title.
That's right.
You are a son of the Most High Yah. You are an heir to. Do you understand that you are heir to the covenant? You are an heir to the covenant, which makes you a king, which makes you a prince, which makes you a priest, and what makes you a son. And by you taking your role, then you allow your wife to become a queen and a priestess.
That's right.
And an heir in what you have. And we tend to forget this. I'm gonna close, but next week, we will be back because we're gonna do this until I have to go back to work, hopefully. I want everybody. I want to tell y'all thank you for you spending time up here on the panel. I got to get down anyway because I got Hot Toddy that's calling my name. Because my chest is heavy as they come. Zakaria, do you want words before you go? Okay, hold on. Let me give you some words. Take your mic off.
Okay, I can speak now? Okay.
Yeah.
So first I want to thank all of y'all for giving me the opportunity to be able to speak from a woman's perspective. I'm sorry I was working while y'all was talking, but I was listening to everything that was said. But I do want to add a little bit right before you close it off, though. As far as when the brother was speaking about the respecting of the woman and them reaching into their position that they're supposed to be in. I don't think that when a woman is more angry and I can't speak for every woman, but I can speak from experience of what I've been through. A lot of times when a woman says she doesn't need a man, that's a defense mechanism. It's because of the things that she's endured and because I haven't had one that's going to come in here and do right, so I don't need what I've already had type of situation, because I've seen what I get, and that's not what I want. um Before I even, like, for instance, I was actually on the phone with my courtier whenever Yemi reached out, and if he would have told me no, I wouldn't have did it. It's just as simple, because I give him that authority, because he's proven to me that he is capable of leading me, if that makes sense. And I pray that, and if I'm ever, because I know after this live, I might have to talk to Yemi, and I'm gonna talk to him, you know, as far as, and if whatever correction that comes from it, I'm actually receiving that with thanksgiving. But I do want to put it out there that us women, we won't, you don't understand how much we want y'all to take the lead and keep it. Don't take the lead and then, still dictate things that the leader's supposed to do to me. If that's the position that you're in, then stay in it. It's like, I've been making decisions and doing this for so long by myself. I want to be able to throw my hands up and give somebody else the ability to be able to do it, so I don't have to. It is exhausting having to play both roles. Us sisters, we've been through a lot. We suffer from the curses. A lot of times when I look on Facebook, I see, you know it's the thing of, a man, and I'm not talking about you all, but there's a lot of men who, when you even speak about providing, you getting cussed out, you getting talked about. It's like, what do you bring to the table? It's all of those things. But the thing, and also this part right here, just because, if you want to call it Babylon or whatever you want to call it, women, it's the scripture talks about a woman surpassing a man. There's a lot of women that's out there, and just because she does exude some strength and she is financially stable, there are some men who uses that against her, who is angry because they can't provide financially and do what they need to financially, so they try to beat her down in other areas to put her beneath him, not realizing that the brighter my star shines, if I'm in you, that makes your star shines bright too. We have to begin, both male and female, begin to look at each other, because you sit back and think about it. Willie Lynch taught y'all to hate us too. It taught us to minimize our sons and push our daughters out there. you know so it's like we have to begin to look at this from a different set of eyes, a different perspective. And if we choose to proceed differently, spirit led, then we will get different, and different outcome. Learn to listen. I sit back and I look at, and I hate to use this as an example, and I'm about to be finished, and I'm sorry for going so long, but I sit back and I look at, different things on Facebook where there was like an abused dog, right? And there was this dog that had been abused, from the time it was a puppy. And the woman was trying to rub the dog, and the dog was screaming out in pain, not realizing that it was comfort, and it wasn't a hurtful hand that was touching it. And then when it finally realized, that dog calmed down. And then the dog received food. You sit back and you're trying to rub a woman, and she's screaming and hollering at you, and you think, I'm touching you softly, not realizing that them same hands that that was supposed to touch her softly was touching her with a fist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to say that people have to really, really sit back and think about things. Stop thinking of things like, with me, I grew up with my father. How my perspective may be different from someone else, but that doesn't negate what they went through. So sometimes it's better to listen, because we got two ears for a reason, than to automatically assume that we understand what a person is going through, and then we choose to judge them according to that. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a listening ear. So I just want to thank you again for allowing me to, jump on the post and be able to speak my truth. So thank you for that.
Oops. Everybody come back in. Y'all all got the link. Come back in, and I done hit the wrong button again. Everybody's back in the backstage. I'm sorry. I'm bringing y'all back up. Okay, we got everybody back except Malak. Malak, come back up. Um, I want to thank. You have anything to say yourself before we close?
No, sir. Great lesson, great teaching, great dialogue today. I appreciate that.
All righty. I want to give Malak a chance to close his statements, but let me go ahead and give my closing first. Listen, it is very important for us to show the black family, show the black man that you are needed in this world. you are needed in this world so much that Abba Yah made you for a purpose. If you look at everything, he gave no purpose to other nations, just his nation. All he gave us a purpose and a plan. And you will find happiness, you will find ease, and you will find peace or shalom when you line up with what the Father wants you to do. It is essential, man. It is so essential. Malak hadn't showed up yet. So I'm going to give us a prayer and we're going to close this thing down. It's been 2.5 hours. I thank everyone who came into the chat, who came up, who are still here, those who are seen, those who are haven't. I thank you for coming up. Once again, all praise to the Most High Yah. Abba Father, we thank you once again for another class. We thank you for allowing us to discuss your word, discuss Torah, discuss the Safar, and to be able to share it with your people, Yasharel, or Israel. Abba Yah, we ask right now in your name that the word that was planted, let it take root, let it be watered by the Ruach HaKodesh, and Abba Yah, we ask that you would bring forth the increase, for we know that the increase lies in you. Abba Yah, we ask that you bless each person that was up on this panel, give them strength as they go through their daily endeavors, and be their reward for their obedience. Abba Yah, we love you. We cherish you. We thank you for Yeshua HaMashiach, our sacrificial lamb, your son, who came down and became flesh, the word that became flesh and dwelt amongst us. Abba Yah, we honor you and we give you praise by saying hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
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 All right, everybody. I wanted to tell y'all shalom.
Shalom.
Um, and we will catch you. All those who are free tomorrow at 1:30. Tomorrow, 1:30, we will be having Shabbat Day class. That will be brought to you by the Awakening Remnant Coalition Dallas, um, known as the ARC DFW. We want all those who are able to come and take part to come and take part. Once again, 1:30 on the head. We are going through the book of Genesis. Right now, we've only been in verses 1 and 2, and we've been in this for 4 weeks almost. So, if you get an opportunity, if you want to, please come to our channel. Come to my channel. I'm going to share the link with you real quick. Well, I thought I was going to share the link with you. I guess my computer said no. I wanted to share the link, but yeah. Um, if you can come to Gimme Yahoo Ben Yahuda tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I may put the link in my other channel as well for you to get here to see it and to come fellowship with us. Once again, we give all praise to the Most High Yah and His Son Yeshua HaMashiach. And we want to tell y'all peace, love, and we will catch you tomorrow. Shalom.
Shalom, family.
Shalom.